This episode is brought to you by Columbia Sportswear. It's snowing again, and that wind chill is killer. But you're not worried about that because you shop the Omni Heat Infinity Collection. It's warmth perfected with tiny gold dots that reflect your body heat inside and protect you from the cold outside. No snow or chilly temps can stop you now. Go out anyway. Shop the Omni Heat Infinity Collection now at Columbia.com/infinity.
The holidays are a time to feel and create joy. And what could be more joyous than the look on her face as she unwraps a stunning new jewelry piece from Blue Nile? How about getting 50% off your purchase? Blue Nile offers premium quality, priced below traditional retail. Their online experts are available 24/7 to answer any questions and make sure you've picked the perfect gift. For a limited time, you can get 50% off at BlueNile.com. That's 50% off at BlueNile.com.
Anything to shake this, but I'm in. My football team's got me drinking.
Back at it again with another episode of the Shades of Blue Soccer Show. It is Thursday night. We've had some sporting news this week. World Cup is in full swing here. I guess it's not, but fever is in world swing in spite of all of the problematic issues going on. We've already seen some issues arise with Grant Wall and things like that. We'll get to all of that later, but we're going to talk about the Sporting KC roster moves first. I've got Robert, David, and Thad here. Robert, why don't you read us the like basic highlights of the off-season moves for Sporting KC.
All right, on the BlueTestament.com, options declined, Izzy and Cave Red. Zuzi's as well, but he's being negotiated with, so that's back line issues for sure. Options triggered. Cam Duke will be back. Courtney Ford, Kendall McIntosh as well. And then new contracts for Felipe Hernandez, Khiry Shelton, and Tim Melia. And then, as I said before, we are negotiating with Zuzi as well as Fontes and Espinoza.
Felipe that was today, wasn't it? Or, right? Didn't he just sign that today or maybe yesterday? That's good. Okay, so where should we start with this? I mean, I guess we have to start with Khiry Shelton, right? That's the big one that is the surprise for everyone. 3 years and an option for the year after.
Yeah.
All right, 3 years. I mean, I think that's the issue we all have, right? We're wondering, okay, what exactly is going on with that? Thad, try to explain that to us, would you?
Yeah, he's a valuable piece of the team, man.
Okay.
Does it need more explanation?
There is an argument to that, but
post.
What is that valuable piece, Thad? Do you think that it's 3 years worthy?
He plays the best music in the locker room.
I know we were talking about somebody earlier being a glue guy. He is one of those kind of guys. Great guy in the locker room, works his butt off, does all that stuff. I've been a big supporter of Khiry in the past. I will say this is his worst year that I've ever seen him have. Probably is his worst year ever since U10. So yeah, it was a little bit of a surprise. I think most of us thought he would be not re-signed, let go. And I actually think it would have been good for him to go to somewhere else, a fresh start kind of thing. But with all that said, Khiry is one of those guys. If he's had a bad year, maybe Peter's seeing that next year he's going to rebound. I mean, he stuck through Shallowy when he had a couple of bad years there, and Shallowy came back and scored pretty well last year. So,
okay, but the underlying numbers for Shallowy were still good even when he wasn't performing. Like his
now, wait. If you're thinking Khiry is going to be a goal scorer, he's never going to be the goal scorer. So he's never going to have those underlying numbers.
Sure, but that was the justification for sticking by Daniel, which was that like what made Daniel have a bad year was that he couldn't put the ball in the net, but his XG was great. He just wasn't finishing. Khiry can't score, can't assist, isn't great in the air. What's he good at?
Well, I mean, okay. Yeah, I think Peter does have a tendency to hang on to guys who are good soldiers for the team.
Runs like a deer and he's strong.
I get that. But He's a backup on the right wing, left wing too. That's a good depth piece you can count on, and that's invaluable in some ways. But you would think you could get somebody else to do a better job at those things.
What he does well is everything that Peter Vermees wants.
That's true,
He
right?
is that locker room guy. He is a striker that will run back on defense, do all the amount of running every single time that is required.
Press as well.
And in theory, hopefully, there's 2 nines that will be starting well ahead of him next year, at least one.
Yeah.
And that we will primarily see him either on the wing or to close out games.
Which, of course, brings up the question of how much does a third string striker / possible winger make after? So he was at it was at 250,000 last year, I believe, is what he made, something like that.
I think it was 350.
350.
Maybe. Okay. And if he's brought back for less money than that and doesn't have to play a whole lot, then you know what? Maybe he does become useful at some point. And honestly, I look at this, I think Peter Vermees, after his partial redemption season last year of the fire Vermees everywhere, and then he brings the team back to the brink of the playoffs. Didn't quite make it, but we had fun there at the end of the season. It was a season of redemption for him. He beat his haters, and I think he is bringing back Khiry to just rub it in. He's like, look what I can do. He's going to take a victory lap when Khiry scores a winner in an Open Cup game next year.
Yeah, I mean, all the explanation we've given still doesn't justify 3 years plus an option.
Yeah, that's just so wild.
Yeah,
that's jaw dropping.
I don't even think any Khiry supporters are saying 3 years is great. I thought if he came back, it'd be a 1-1.
Right.
But also, like, you know what Khiry is. So, Cody, to your point about the money, right? Like, let's say he's making 150, which is not
3 years.
A lot of money.
150, bring it back for 3 years.
Well, hold on though. If the idea is that 150 is cheap, and so there's some value in that, why Khiry is a below replacement level player at his position? Why would you not take a flyer on somebody like Wilson Harris for the same or less money, who's a prospect who may bag goals? You know what Khiry is. You already know what he is as a commodity. If we're just taking flyers on dudes because they're out there for vibes and to, press at the last 10 minutes of a game, why couldn't we have paid $110,000 for somebody else?
Well,
or 150,000, or there's free agents on the market who are proven commodities in MLS. Why don't we go after one of them? Why not at least try? And then if you need to bring Khiry back, because I guarantee you nobody would have signed him.
Well, yeah. So you said we know what we get for Khiry. And then why don't we get a prospect for about the same price? I understand that, and I also agree with you. I would rather do that. But I think the argument for Khiry there is just what you said. Like, they know what they're going to get.
Exactly.
They know that player will do that in the final 15 minutes, or if they need him to play real games, then he can do it then. They know what they are going to get. I do agree with you. I would rather have some shiny new prospect that has potential, but that's the argument against it for sure.
And I know, David, you're just using Wilson Harris as an example. I mean, obviously with him, he may not have wanted to be here. He may wanted to go elsewhere and look because he didn't think he had a chance. So,
right.
Yeah.
But if we're getting that deep into the roster, you already have problems, right? So if we go into the season thinking Alan Pulido and Willie Agata are strikers 1 and 2, and we get to a spot where Khiry needs to play, we got problems already. And me personally, I would rather take a flyer on somebody from, let's say, MLS Next Pro or the USL Championship, or to pick another name, even though, and this isn't that this person will come or anything, but like a Tyler Pasher, where you're like, okay, this kid is tearing it up in the quote unquote minors. Let's see if he's got it in MLS. I'd at least rather try it than trot out a guy that we know can't compete at this level.
Okay, so I mean, I have to preface this with, I was in the boat of let him go find job elsewhere, but I am now in the boat of I'm going to try to defend all of this. So that's where I'm coming from. All right. You still have to look back to they had really good years with Khiry Shelton as a 9, even though he didn't score goals. He did all those things, so we know he can do those things. Okay, all those little things that Peter always talked up, right? I never thought he was the best at holding up the ball or any of that stuff, but it was the tracking back and pulling defenders out of position that was a lot more of his strength. He's never going to be a great goal scorer. He's not been a good goal scorer since college. That's not his forte. It's all the other little stuff. So if he has done it in the past and the team was scoring he was the center forward when they scored, the most goals in history or the second most goals in history for the team, and he could do it. He had a bad year. Nobody's arguing that. I don't think he would argue against that, right? But he was also injured for part of it. He was put out there with lineups that weren't the greatest. He had all of those things. If you bring in somebody like Tyler Pasher, who's already been bounced off of a couple MLS teams that weren't even good, I know you're bringing up guys that we know from the past, and like I liked Pash, but he's not made it. He's had some nice opportunities. He's had some nice play, but then he's got bounced off of Houston. And I forget where he went for like a week, and they let him go also. So
I think the big problem that most people have with things that, we're giving that are good about Khiry and the reason for him to be here is that he does not raise us to the next level. He's not a player who's going to do that. And, he fits with the way Sporting spends money and everything, but he's not going to take us to the next level.
Does the second right back raise us to the next level?
What I'm saying
does the fifth midfielder raise us to the next level?
Come in, say Alan Polito, is tiring. He's not guy who's going to come in and
he's not making $9 million. I mean, we're not talking. We can't compare.
I'm talking about a guy
Polito
coming in late in the game and scoring a game winner because Polito was tired. That's what I'm talking about. Somebody who's going to bring us to that
probably
next
not
level.
going to do that.
Right.
If he's on the bench, I mean, I'm fairly confident if Polito's healthy, he and Willie are fighting for starting. Okay.
Or both playing up top, which I'd like to see.
Which would be interesting, but we're just assuming everything stays as normal. You're going to see Shallowy, Russell, Tommy, Kenda, if he's healthy, Voltaire, the new guy who I can't say his name right now.
Bedoya.
Of course, it's impossible for all those guys you just mentioned to be on the field the way
exactly. So some of those guys are going to be the second person. We're talking Khiry being the third person at center forward, perhaps a second or third at
winger. Yeah,
right. So he is depth. He's not meant to be starter. And if you have a guy who's like, when you say, oh, is he going to be a game changer? The third string guy usually isn't a game changer unless they're a prospect that has come up through the ranks and is now breaking out. That's not Khiry. That's not Pasher. That's not Wilson. That's not Freeman.
But does LAFC have better third string guys who can be that guy more than Khiry Shelton?
I don't know, but they got better first and second string guys, at least in some of those positions.
Yeah, I call Khiry a second on the wing. So
I think this situation is one of the only times, this situation, a player that you don't like, is one of the only times we wouldn't like having a coach that builds relationships with players, shows that he supports them, and it's worked in the past. And I think there is something cool about that. That's Peter's style. It's proven to work in other ways. And yes, but I do think this is obviously the one time that we would not like to have a coach doing that.
And I think we'd all agree would like a coach doing a 3-year +1.
Yeah. Okay, Tim Melia is back. As much as we have loved him, I think that kind of surprised some people. Thad, were you surprised to see that? Actually, Thad, before you answer that, are you aware that we can only see the top half of your face?
Yeah, I don't care.
Okay.
Do you need to see the rest of me?
Well, I didn't know if this was like a boomer thing, like you were just like you didn't know how to work your camera.
Wow.
I do know this part of it.
We got Thad going tonight. Yeah,
man, I'm tired. I've had a long week already, and I I've had to be like really nice for like 3 days straight to people in the corporate world, and I'm like in that tired mode that if you just get me in the right mood, I might just go off on you, and we'll have to F-bomb a lot of stuff.
Okay, Amelia.
Am I surprised just a little bit because I thought he might want to go, somewhere else? But I'm good with him coming back. I just want it to be very clear that he's not just the starter. He's got to fight for it, which will help Pulse Camp. So
Yeah, curious
and
to
McIntosh.
see what his contract number is.
Yeah, I know. I saw somebody post like, we brought back 26 players from a team that wasn't good. Well, that's not completely true because the new 6 is new. Tommy and Agata is new, even though they came in for the last third of the season, roughly. That's not the same team. And we also can potentially get Polito and Kinda back. And I always will caveat that until I see him on the field actually playing.
The team,
Right.
that last third of the season was a good team, and they weren't.
Yeah.
It wasn't a bad team.
Wait, can I say it? Can I say the cliche about Kinda and Polito and Melia?
Hit it.
Them coming back from injuries, just like a new signing.
Classic.
Okay, we could have done without that.
It's a classic Kansas City thing to say there. I think we've used that one a lot.
Peter has said it many times.
I like Melia coming back. I think Pools Camp has a lot of potential.
Right.
But he showed throughout the year that it's still potential. He had some real moments of brilliance, and he had some real moments of looking out of his depth and not ready. And Tim's probably slowing down. I think his underlying numbers were not great. And I know people who are goalkeeper aficionados think that he's slowing down, but he's still probably got something left in the tank. And maybe that's just mentoring Pools Camp. Maybe he's got a really cool locker room playlist. Maybe he's better than Khiry with that. I don't know. But I'm more okay with it than Khiry on his 3+1.
I mean, Tim could play center forward.
He would score as many goals as Khiry.
Okay, just on that, I'm going to predict Khiry gets 5 goals next year.
In all comps or in the MLS?
Are you going to argue with either one, man? You're going to say he's going to get 0, so you might as well just accept whatever I say.
No, because there's a difference in competition, and I don't want to concede when he's bagging goals against, Sister Mary School for the Blind FC in the Open Cup.
That will still provide value to the team.
Okay.
Valid. Laid the hammer down there. He did. David, they are also negotiating with Roger and Zusi.
And Andreu.
I wanted
and Izzy. I thought that was in there too.
Not no.
I just wanted to go to David because I know he would have a strong opinion on those negotiations.
Did you know that AARP memberships start at $12 a month?
Okay, how old are they at now? Let's get that out there.
All approximately my age.
Okay, there we go. That's the point I was
34, 35.
Yeah, but the idea, I'm thinking about me running out there, and it just seems awful.
Well, yes, and it should, but that's very different. They're very different human beings than you are, David.
That's true.
Amen.
That's true. So I'm actually in favor of negotiating with Zusi. I think that Zusi as a backup, I do think of him as a good locker room guy. He knows what Vermees wants. If he's willing to and able to mentor Caden Pierre, I think there's a lot of value there. My fear with Zusi is that he will resign and Peter will run him out there every match until the wheels fall off. And, Thad's mentioned this a million times that Vermees puts out the best 11 guys to win that game. And that's a concern because Vermees, the GM, and Vermees, the coach, need to think about player development because at some point, Zusi won't be on the team anymore. So that's my fear with bringing I don't know where Roger plays, because Roger's not a starter. It shouldn't be starting above Kinda or Tommy or Voltaire or Redoya.
Reach the choir, man.
So where does I think Roger gets squeezed out of the roster, but I'm in favor of bringing Zusi back on like a 1+1 or maybe 2 guaranteed for a very small amount of money.
1-1.
3-1, right?
Doesn't every team struggle to find either a right back or a left back? Isn't that just a universal thing? Isn't it more
Left back is the hardest.
Left back.
It's more out of the norm if you have those positions locked down and you've got a young player for the future. I just seems like every team outside of Manchester City and the most expensive teams in the world are dealing with that.
They are. It's hard to I mean, everything we say is every other team is looking at it too, but they're looking at it maybe in a higher level. They're looking at that same question, right? I'm sure there's guys on Premier League teams like, why are we bringing back, Joe Schmuckatelli as our winger? He sucked. He should never play. And
Joe Schmuckatelli has not made an appearance on this pod for a while now.
Well, it's because the Italians aren't going to the World Cup.
Right.
So we actually could sign him.
Yeah. And he'd be
Probably
able
play
to
for
come
St.
to the
Louis.
city and not do anything over the winter break.
Probably play for St. Louis.
Okay,
Yay, St.
so
Louis. He could cut pieces into squares.
the roster moves have been announced. We know what the team is at the moment. So Thad, what do we need the most now? Has it changed from our previous pods?
We need clarity on the defense right now. Do they, Fontas, if they're negotiating with him, I know it didn't mention Izzy, but I still think they might be talking to him, but they might be letting him get through the first round of the draft.
Re-entry draft.
Yeah. And so I wouldn't say he's not going to be back, but I'd say he's probably a little bit less likely. And I know we talked about this about a million times throughout already in the offseason. I'm okay with one of those two being back. I probably didn't want both of them back. I know like Robert would prefer Izzy. I'm actually okay with either one, but that then matters who you pair them with. So that clarity of like who we get back, if we get either of them back, now means what are we finding to match up with them as the possible primary starters. And maybe Peter's looking at it as Ford and Robbie are going to be that other center back. And we have to find more depth since we don't have Kave anymore.
Yeah, we're always looking at this with one eye blind. We don't know what they've got lined up, who they've been negotiating with, and how those negotiations are going. So,
yeah, I know I've asked some of these questions before and been told wait a week until you hear something and then you'll have more clarity, and that just meant that you'll get it. And I'm not saying this is the case, but in the past I've asked these questions and said and heard, just wait, you'll hear the next move, and then this will be clearer then. And there might be things coming after the re-entry draft. Anyway,
tell you though.
What's that?
They should just tell you and tell you it's off the record.
2 players were taken in the re-entry draft today.
Who?
Nobody we're concerned with.
Good input. Doing a good show here. What else are we needing? Are we set on we were talking about kind of a packed midfield. And Khiry is now probably winger depth as well. But is there
he could be a center back.
Oh my god.
This is one of those this is one of those that goes over way better in person because I can just do it deadpan and you look at me like, are you serious? Wait, what?
Well, were you making that up or were you referencing the tweet that was tweeted at all of us? Because I saw that suggested in a tweet.
I didn't see that, I don't think.
And it was
I don't know, maybe I did.
Not all of us Twitter. What was the tweet?
It was someone saying that maybe they're bringing him back to be a center back because he's good in the air.
Is he though? Anyway,
is he though? Is he?
Vermees has stated that he would like another more depth at center forward, center striker, or whatever you want to call it, striker. So maybe that's something we're going to be seeing soon too.
Okay.
Yeah, I think there's at least 2 more signings coming. So,
there was the MLS Players Association poll was released. Robert.
Yes, it was. I just thought it was kind of humorous. Our old friend Dom Dwyer, who apparently is still with Atlanta United, Believe it or not, guys, locker room glue. He was voted like number 3 best locker room guy in the league.
Absolutely.
Number 2 as like funniest guy in the league or something like that. So good props for Dom. Good for you, Dom.
Has Dom grown? Has he matured since leaving here? Since getting dropped by some teams? Maybe he's shown some personal growth here, guys.
He's a parent.
He is a parent. Dad, that changes people.
It does.
Wow, that blows my mind. Or were people voting for him like in jest? Or is it sarcasm? Like, oh yeah, the best locker.
Well, okay, that's what I was gonna say. Parenting does kind of put a different edge to your sarcasm, and we know Don was pretty good at that anyway. So
he's also pretty good at throwing a snit and not talking to anybody because he hadn't scored for 2 games.
wonder what he's like when he doesn't play for 2 games.
Okay, well, we're gonna take a break, and then we're gonna talk about the Apple TV announcement, and then some World Cup stuff. So we'll be right back. All right, Apple TV announced their pricing for the 2023 season of MLS coverage, and it is expensive, David.
Kinda. Depends on.
David's a lawyer, so. You're operating on a different level than we are.
I mean, not financially. I'm a public servant. If you already subscribe to Apple Plus, so if you want to watch Ted Lasso or the morning show or any of the other shows on there, the MLS coverage will cost you an additional $12.99 a month or $80 a season. If you are not a subscriber to Apple Plus, it is $14.99 a month or $99 a season. Or if you are a season ticket holder,
there it is.
It is free. It is included with your season tickets.
But David, if you have 2 season tickets, you only get 1 free. And I assume you can share that with that other person. They don't live with you, but yeah.
No, but Apple makes it difficult sharing.
Do they?
Yeah, because it's like if you can't just like sign into it on a phone because you're like signing into that person's life onto another device. So
right.
I would never, ever share my passwords with anybody. However, I do know it's possible for somebody to watch Ted Lasso from a different household from my account.
Yeah, I do that with my sisters. It's you can sign in on there's a Google the Apple Plus.
There's Apple lawyers ready to sue you now, right?
Yeah.
I'm not the one who did it.
Apple Plus app on Google TV you can get. That's what I'm rocking right now. So that works. And it'll all be in there. Like I would go to that app and watch it. It'll work for me like that.
Yeah.
All right. I'll send it.
We'll see. All right. So
$79.
Again, I always gotta like do a little bit of contrast here, right? The best viewing for MLS used to be MLS Live. That was before they went to all the ESPN Plus and stuff, and you could basically see every game. And it was like $59 a month, I think. I mean, $50 a year. I was trying to
remember how much it was.
Yeah, somewhere around $59 a year.
With the aspects
I think the only blackouts were when it was national TV games,
right?
And you could go back and rewatch them. And again, this was like 5 or 6 years ago. And so if you count that $59, where now there still will be the potential for national game blackouts. If ESPN or Fox picks it up some games, which I don't care if they do, since I can watch them through Apple Plus, but it's like 59 to 89 or whatever difference now. It's not that much extravagantly more. Plus you get the potential of the MLS Next and MLS Next Pro, maybe some even MLS Next games and some other content that wasn't in those previous things.
Well, I think
League
the
Cup, playoffs.
The more direct comparison is just like ESPN or even Paramount Plus, because that's where it came from on ESPN Plus, and it was cheaper, and they had some of the best, most exciting leagues in the world in addition to MLS. And Paramount Plus has a Champions League, and I pay $5 for that. And they have a whole library of other things. Some decent content on it. You guys watch anything on Paramount?
Yeah.
What do you watch? Give me one. What's the show with the 2 old people and it was like space?
What?
What's the show you watch on there, David?
On Paramount,
Yeah.
they have this show about the making of The Godfather
Oh, that was a good one.
with
Night
Miles
Sky.
Teller.
Night Sky is the show that I'm thinking of. Sissy Spacek and J.K. Simmons, so good. Everybody watch it. I want to talk about it with people.
Okay. Well, free plug for Paramount. The benefit of it over ESPN is that ESPN had blackouts.
Right.
So like you couldn't watch sporting on ESPN Plus from Kansas City.
Well, that's
unless
also
you
because it was free.
cheated your way around it.
It's also because it was likely free on some other channel that you already had.
That you may or may not get.
Yeah. Yeah.
And if you had cut the cable, you didn't get, because if you didn't have ESPN at home, sometimes you couldn't watch ESPN games, et cetera, et cetera. So this will be more convenient in that regard. And you'll get Champions League. It's just CONCACAF.
They do have CONCACAF too?
Well, no, just I don't know. No, they don't actually. I just had to get you, man.
Well, I was excited for this, or at least maybe not excited. I was intrigued by it because, they do have such reach to the normies that are not in the soccer world. And I've been curious as to how much effort, now that they've paid for this product, that like how much they will put behind it towards advertising it. And I was kind of excited for that. I'm interested to see if they release other content like like the F1 type show and things like that. But then they put it behind a $99 or a $79 paywall. Like, are there going to be games available that the people
Yes.
can just scrolling through and find? Okay.
There's going to be games on free Apple TV. There's going to be free Apple TV games. There's going to be games on Apple TV, and then probably like over half of them, but will be on the subscription Apple. So the MLS subscription. So there will be free games, and they'll be prevalent up there, and just say, oh, you need to subscribe to this. Like I scroll through Amazon Prime now. Sometimes I'm like, oh, that movie, I can't watch that. Damn.
Yeah.
So.
But no, you're right, Cody. If they put a lot into it and make it worth it and quality, sure. Not a problem at all. By the way, kudos to Farmhand for developing a story that was really, show the good sides and the bad sides of this deal. So well done. That's up on the bluetestament.com.
Where all of us but Cody right.
Cody posts.
I read through Farmhand's thing. Farmhand is good. He's been writing novels of comments in the
Yeah, we need to write more
now. So yeah, appreciate that. Should we move on to Qatar, the World Cup? As the days go by, for a while I was not getting as excited. I didn't necessarily have the fever, but as the days are inching closer here this week, I've been getting a little more excited. But as we do get closer, as journalists arrive, we have already started seeing issues. An English journalist was had his live shot stopped and they were threatened to break his camera. Grant Wall took the most innocent photo ever of something you would think they would want shown, and he was told to kindly delete it, sir, and like that's the nicest way possible of putting it. So it's already starting, and I don't imagine it will get better from here. We've seen some Firefest looking hotels that people might be staying in. They're having issues with the like drinking tents that they're setting up, and asked to be moved farther away from stadiums for whatever reason. It just I can't believe that the whole point of this is to like showcase yourself to the world, and you're not even gonna like pretend to like do all this stuff in secret. Like you're just openly gonna do it. I just was assuming they were going to bend in some way on some of this stuff while they would put on a good face for the world, and it just doesn't appear they're going to do that. They're just showcasing their power is what they want to do, it looks like.
Dude, if this thing goes full Fire Festival, like that got me excited. The Fire Festival. If I get to watch a documentary in like 2 years about this World Cup, and I get to see like Christian Pulisic bitching about eating like a cheese sandwich on white bread, I'm actually more interested in the World Cup now. And if at the closing ceremony, like if at the closing of the World Cup, like at the end of the final, that Argentina will not be in, by the way. But at the end of the final, when they're like scrolling, like they're putting up like who's produced it and this and that. If Ja Rule gets like a producer credit, like I will just do backflips throughout my house.
On that note, did you see that the Argentine and Uruguayan teams both brought with them like 2,000 pounds a piece of meat?
What was it, a whale?
That is madness. I love it so much.
2,000 pound piece of meat? Was it a whale?
I don't think it was one piece.
Oh, okay.
I think it might have been a bunch of meat. And then the other weird thing of teams traveling there was Poland, who was escorted by fighter jets. I guess it's not funny. It's almost sad about the situation our world is in, but it's a pretty crazy video. You got to go look at it. And I think it's a good style. I think we should normalize it. It's like taking back the power a little bit. Like, yeah, they might have had to do it because they felt like it, but now they like set a trend. And I think the U.S. should have rolled up with like Air Force One next to it and a whole brigade of the Air Force.
Like a dozen F-35s.
Does that not sound like it would start a world disaster? I think we could get away with it. I think it'll be fine.
We have a massive military base there.
In Qatar?
Pretty sure.
No shit. Do we really?
Yeah.
Oh my gosh. I never would have
Qatar was the home base before the counterattack into Iraq, so there's still a lot there.
Interesting.
They had like 1,000 U.S. service members at like a practice a day or two ago. But I mean, speaking of all that, like you said, like about moving beer tents, I'm looking at a Times report that they're actually saying, no, we don't want beer in the stadiums at all.
Right. It
days.
was outside these tents are like outside of the stadium. And then I think they were even telling them once they finally got these things set up, they were telling them to move them further from the stadiums.
Yeah. It sounds like they're like trying to get them just completely away from it at all, period.
Yeah.
Like, it's madness that it was given to them. It's madness that there are teams here. Like,
and that's what I mean. Like I said earlier, they're just showcasing their power now at this point. They know that everyone knows that. They know that it's not going to get taken from them now. The games are going to get played there. And I think that they're like kind of happy showing the power and control that they have. I thought, they would want to showcase themselves and, in a good
positive light.
And yeah, like to, maybe this is a place you can come travel and enjoy yourself. But no, yeah, it's going to be interesting to see how it develops. And if maybe some of these incidents were gung-ho security guards that, were not acting in accordance or something, but I'll be surprised if it doesn't keep, at least slightly escalating.
They're going like full China on like reporters. And then again, I've been really busy the last 2 days, like all day shoots and stuff, but stories are popping up about fake fans, paid fans.
Yeah. Oh yeah. Yeah. Like rally.
That's like all North Korea type of thing there. But some of these teams have fake fans.
Yeah. Weird times. The U.S. scrimmage today behind closed doors, and it looked like Weah was a striker. I asked this question like a couple weeks ago on who's a name that people might come away from this World Cup that like people who aren't into soccer might kind of fall in love with. And I didn't mention Weah, but he's one that I've long thought that about. I think he, if he gets some time on the field, I think he can make an impact.
Well, let's clarify that. There has been talks about Weah playing center forward, especially I think it was Graham's interview with him. And Weah said, well, you better ask coach about that. He didn't want to own up to it. So,
yeah, I think he could even have an impact if he comes off the bench. I do want to see him on the field, though. I think he's an exciting player, and he knows how to get the ball in the box, or he knows how to make that final pass better than I think a lot of other players on the roster.
So, yeah, I mean, isn't this the first time Berhalter has had Weah, Reyna, Pulisic, etc., healthy and together? So he's got some decisions to make.
Better find some wood to knock on right this very second, and anything else. Throw some salt over your shoulder, or whatever you have to do.
So they played a scrimmage. I thought the one against Belgium was canceled.
No, this was against a local Qatari team, I guess. So
Ah, yeah, I was
they
kind of like
didn't
stuck in the
call
middle.
it a scrimmage. They just
Okay.
said they're training with them. So
I was stuck in the middle of a building with like really bad reception most of the last 2 days. So
And this is not the migrant workers that they were scrimmaging with.
no.
An actual
Well-
team. Okay.
well, no, they can't scrimmage from the grave.
Oh no. I hope you weren't
Nice,
doing that to make
nice,
a joke,
Dad. Nice.
but that you were cutting it at Qatar. I didn't laugh at it. I want the record to state I didn't laugh at that.
Yeah, you did.
I'm laughing at your hair is what I'm laughing at.
Yeah, it's a sight. I don't care. Fuck you.
All right, I'm jealous. So
Okay, what else are we missing here from this week?
Thad, how about the current? They made roster announcements as well, and SKC too.
They did. You're right.
You threw it to him and he was not prepared for that at all. What's
Yeah.
well, just give us some basic highlights of their moves.
Let me just make sure that I'm not lying here to you.
CC Kaiser.
Yeah, they signed CC Kaiser back. That's a very good move. They I know they waived JC Johnson and Sydney Schneider, and they did not re-sign Taylor Leach, who was out of contract, which I think are all good moves. Sydney Schneider I had no problem with. She came back or left. I mean, she was a third keeper that I never saw enough of to know whether she was really good. JC Johnson, kind of a journeyman player around NWSL, played for a few teams, actually from Lee Summit West High School. Good person, just was never going to make the team better. So that was their moves.
What did our two resident St. Louis Potters think of the unveiling of their new stadium in a scrimmage against
Leverkusen. Yeah, I actually watched that game today. Rewatched it on the replay. I mean,
my guy out
St.
here
Louis
watching
looked-
a friendly?
St. Louis looked pretty average. Of course, it's not their full team, but yeah, stadium looked good inside anyway. On the outside, so like it's not much.
Yeah, blah.
Well,
The
as
What about the
supporter
jersey, though?
section is good size. I like the jersey myself,
looks
but
like ours, though.
you know,
Is it pink? I don't get it. What color is it?
I think it appears somewhat pink
It's
because it's just
like they
on
were
our
like,
computers, and it's more red. It's off the St. Louis flag colors. So
okay.
But it's not the same color as the flag. It's
they
not the
wanted to
same
go
color as
pink.
the.
no, it's not.
out.
Okay.
No, it's pinker.
Is it?
I mean,
Okay.
I think it's wanting to allude to that, but
It looks
yeah,
good,
it's.
though.
I like the jersey, but I just don't like the color. So that's it.
Here's what bothered me about the broadcast, though, and I don't know if you guys are like this. They had commercials that said the MLS in it for the team. I was like, come on, guys.
Well, as a fan of the game, I am happy that the people of St. Louis have a team of their own and a stadium of their own. David, don't give me that face. I'm trying here. As a fan of the game in this country, we are all stewards of the game, and any growth of the sport is good because we all want to win a World Cup, and a professional team in every city can inspire the youth of every city and help us get there faster. So don't give me that face. It's good for them. I hate the team. The jersey is not as cool as everyone thinks it is. But good for the city of St. Louis. It's been a very long, difficult journey to finally get that stadium or that team and the stadium unveiled. So go soccer in the US.
And NYCFC has a new stadium coming, but not until
Yeah.
2027.
Yeah, in Queens. I've asked my sister and brother-in-law who live there, and they seem to think it should be a pretty decent spot.
It's supposed to go in pretty close to Citi Field,
Yeah.
Right.
and which is good for them. There's a lot of infrastructure around there, obviously, so people can go see the Mets play. I do think it's hilarious though, because NYCFC is owned by the Yankees,
Yeah.
And so they're not in the Bronx by Yankee Stadium. They'll be in Queens next to the Mets Stadium.
Right.
David, it took them, oh my God, how many years has it been? It took them like 6 years to finally.
I think longer.
Is it really? My God, I'm getting old. It took them that long to finally find a square in the 4 boroughs that would be big enough to put a stadium in. So they couldn't get that picky. They had to just run with one.
But they're still going to have 4 years of playing here, playing there, playing there.
Oh man, it is what? Well, wow. I guess I didn't. You said the year, and I didn't even really notice it when you said it. Yeah, that's a long, very long time.
Yes, it is.
Hey,
Okay.
hopefully it actually happens.
Yeah, that's true. I guess it's so far out, I wouldn't be surprised.
They could start digging and find Jimmy Hoffa, and then the whole deal's done. So
Jimmy Hoffa reference. Okay. Okay. Well, thank you, gentlemen, and I will talk to you next week. Go Sporting.
Woo.
Don't seem so tough. And 3 own goals ain't all that rough. Our skipper has just been sent off. Some point of strong and ball comes off. My football team's got me drinking. My football team's got me drinking. My football team's got me drinking. Give me beer or whiskey, wine or gin, anything to shake this mood I'm in. My football team's got me drinking. My football team's got me drinking. My football team's got me drinking.